for Newcastle fans, possibly as a centre-back option. And we've got a little part here, which is basically who needs what or who needs who. Because Andy's picked out 3 players that he feels should go to certain clubs. Let's start with Danilo Duki from Union Berlin, who you think would be a good fit for Newcastle.
Yeah, and he's been of interest to Villa and Leeds already. Dutch centre-back who's been really good for them in recent years. Tall, dominating, decent on the ball, gets his share of goals from set pieces as well because of his size. He feels like someone who's low cost, only 6 months left on his right. contract. They're in a comfortable position in the Bundesliga, so I think they would be open to making something from him as well. And he's at the age where he wants to make a big move.
Could he be a starter when everyone's fit for them, if they've got Botman, if they've got Chow, if they've got Dan Burn, if all of their centre-backs are fit?
That's a question, because Fabian Schär is not long-term for them, even when he comes back. You know, he's into his 30s now, and it's great that he signed to stay at the club this summer. But at some point, they're going to have to move on from him and Burn. We don't know if we can completely rely on Sven Botman at the moment, because he's had quite a lot of injuries since he's been there. And I think that's what's allowed Malik Chow to become such an important part of the team already. And that's why it's such a brilliant move, because at Milan he had his good bits, he had his less good bits. But now he's arrived at somewhere where he feels important. But they definitely need cover. Probably 2 centre-backs, I think, if you're looking beyond the summer.
A lot of teams want this guy, well, Marc Guehi. The question is whether it's in January, whether it's in the summer. Where do you think he should go?
City have to go all the way for him this month, for me. Now, obviously, if you're Marc Guehi, you're probably more sensible waiting until the summer, having your pick from really anywhere you want. City have got to make themselves irresistible. And I think when you look at where they are, you look at the fact that Ruben Dias remains a formidable central defender, but has had his fitness and form problems over the last little while. John Stones, we never know if we're getting real John Stones back. Get someone to build your defence around. And he's the guy.
Yeah. Will he go January or in the summer?
Summer, definitely. Again, Oliver Glasner didn't want to sell him in the summer, wanted him for this year. I don't see him relinquishing his captain for the next 6 months. He's a true professional, Marc Guehi. I think what's interesting, though, it's been, 2 weeks since the January window's open. He's been open and had opportunities to discuss a contract with clubs outside of England. Well, we haven't heard of anything moving on that front. Now, that surprises me, or certainly tells me that perhaps his future is in this country, which leads you to Manchester City, leads you to Liverpool.
Well don't also Liverpool need him just as badly as Manchester City?
Matt, Liverpool needed him in the summer. You know, it's pretty clear. It was obvious, I think, for many they needed him in the summer. Maybe it was obvious a bit too late for Liverpool, hence why they left it so last minute. I have no doubts that will be a regret for Arne Slot and the Liverpool hierarchy that they didn't get that one over the line. He would have made a huge difference to that side. Now Liverpool are going to face competition from Manchester City and Arsenal, who are also showing interest in signing him in the summer. So watch this space. It could be a fire sale. Everybody looking for him.
OK, further up the pitch, Tammy Abraham. Now, we spoke yesterday, potential links that have been reported between Tammy Abraham and Aston Villa. He's currently at Besiktas. Do you think Villa is the place for him to go?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially since they've lost Daniel Marlin. Now, of course, he's a very, very different type of striker, Tammy Abraham, and he's morphed into a different type of striker over the last couple of years since he's recovered from that major injury at Roma. He had that loan at Milan last season, which on paper doesn't look fantastic, but actually in terms of being what Villa need, a striker that doesn't get picked in the 11 every game and yet can hold the ball up, can work incredibly hard and come off the shoulder as well to score a goal. I think he ticks all the boxes for Villa and exactly what they're looking for at the moment. And having a pretty good season in a not great Besiktas team.
There is space now as well with Daniel Marlin on his way.